Welcome back, everybody. We are in early Feb 63 now. There is a whole crap ton of stuff going on here, and instead of going through every move with you, I'm just going to synthesize it. Here's the plan. All right, so as you can see, the Union's got about over 1,000 powered force coming this way, plus another 96 here and 288 there. My concern is he's going to join all these up, and I don't have an equivalent force to respond with. So I'm going to bring McCulloch. I'm going to abandon Bloomington. We're going to come down here. We're going to land all here. I'm bringing a 2-star over here to create a core under Polk. We're going to move up. We're going to take Quincy, hopefully. Again, it's harsh weather still, so it's going to be pretty violent weather. Going to take Quincy. I'm going to take Peoria. And this is going to be our new front. So what will end up happening is we'll have our far front will be Springfield, Missouri, and Jefferson, Missouri. But then our main front's going to be St. Louis up here to Quincy. That's going to be my main front right here. I'm going to have my Army and Corps right in this area. I'm going to use this rail line here between Peoria and down. And then down here to respond in kind to any kind of incursion on my easternmost front along Illinois. So, in theory, what I like to do is I'm going to have a brigade here in Tolono, a brigade here in Bloomington, Illinois, another Bloomington, which is bizarre. And then obviously I'll have Peoria and Quincy. I'm going to have a very robust division here in Springfield, which I will use to respond to any kind of threats to either one of these locations, as well as support my army along the riverfront here. But hopefully, being behind this river will provide a sufficient defense against any kind of Union incursion and blood them pretty significantly. I did put a comment out there on my previous video asking for any kind of suggestions, and some one of the subscribers popped in and recommended I do that, and I think it's actually a good plan. Although it might be a little ambitious to suggest I could do a counteroffensive, because I just don't really have the force out here. And I don't intend to have the force out here except for defensive purposes. But again, it's going to be Springfield up to Quincy. It's going to be my main line of defense behind this river here, and then connecting with Bloomington and Springfield. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 corps under Johnston. I'm going to push east into, I'm going to follow these 2 rail lines right here. And I'm going to take these strategic positions of Indianapolis, Columbus, and Cincinnati, I hope. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. My goal is to combine Johnson and Johnson's armies together here, so a nice little cohesive force here in the summertime. With that in mind, I am moving on Knox, Illinois, or rather Knox, Indiana, with the Iron Cavalry under Shelby, right? Is this Shelby? Yeah, Shelby. My hope is if I take this, it's going to cut him off from supply. I mean, he's still got a little bit of supply coming through the river here, but not much. He is moving in with a 689 powered division here under Davis, who's a pretty capable commander. I'm a little worried about that, to be honest with you, because I don't have a whole lot in Bowling Green, and I don't have a whole lot in Munfordville. So I am pulling Johnson's corps back to Munfordville just to kind of react to whatever he's doing here. But then I'm going to move on here. I'm going to take this area. I'm moving Shelby, or Morgan's force, on this area. Hopefully I can take it. I don't know. I did give him a little bit of infantry, and then I've also got artillery. So I'm hoping I can take this. And I'm just going to start moving on Indiana, with the idea being that he's right now, I've got this hole right here I need to plug, and it seems to me more effective, instead of responding to what he's doing, just attack. If I take out Knox, Indiana, and these other river locations, he's not going to have any way to supply an incursion in Kentucky without taking these areas. So that's going to be the plan, is to move in there. So that's kind of what's going on in the West in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot of movement going on, but no major battles going on. We did take Fort Monroe. Hooray! So as you can see here, we'll look at the battle statistics. 2 hours of battle. He actually inflicted a decent amount of casualties, so he lost 1,500 and we lost 28, but we did take it. The problem is he's got a river fleet, or an ocean fleet out here, so I can't actually move AP Hill's Corps out of here like I wanted. until probably next turn. So I put a sea mine here. I've got, siege artillery. I've got 20 pounders in here. I've got coastal artillery. So I suspect he'll be out of here next turn. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take AP Hill and probably send him back west. That's what I'm thinking of doing, possibly. The other alternative is I'm going to take Beauregard. I'm going to have him in Suffolk. I'm going to have a corps in Norfolk. And then I'm going to have a division in Fort Monroe. And I think between those three, that's going to be a pretty significant defense to any kind of incursion by the Union up the river and as they perhaps attempt to take Richmond. So I'm moving Beauregard here. And I'm going to kind of look at the situation, see where it's at to decide if I need to move AP Hill to the west. I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to attach AP Hill to Johnston because the front is just so big over here. It seems to me more effective to have 3 corps moving east, have Johnston on his own instead of having, for example, here Huger underneath him, and do it that way. So that's, I think, going to be the plan. I'm going to start building up my forces up here. So notice we now have D.H. Hill, who maintained his strategic rating of 4, which is awesome. I have Lee on his own now, and we've got 3 corps under Lee. And I'm still trying to figure out here how best to mount on an offensive into Maryland in 63. I think I'm definitely going to do it, though. I mean, he's got a ton of troops here, like insane amount. But I need to maintain the initiative. I don't want to give him the opportunity to start attacking me and then forcing me to respond. So I'm thinking with Jackson being the lead, I'm going to swing around here, kind of like Lee actually did in 63. I probably won't go as far as Gettysburg, which is up here, but I may take Chambers, Maryland, and Frederickstown, and then try and turn his right flank, perhaps. I don't know. I do have a lot of troops here at my disposal, though. I've got 1,200 power that I now can shift up to Virginia for some sort of offensive in the spring. With that, that's about it. Not a whole lot else going on. Let me show you my recruit tab. Building a whole bunch of artillery because I'm lacking artillery in the Virginia theater. So I'm building that. Need more Raider repair parts, so we're going to get that. And then, as you can see, a lot of line infantry, but I think 5 replacements should be good to square that away. 3 here on the 62 Elite, that should be okay. So we're doing well there. We are putting forth a request for volunteers. We're paying them $1 per person. Part of that, I have 189 conscripts, so you think, hey, that should be enough. But I am raising taxes, so I lose 2 morale, but I intend to do a really heavy push in the spring and summer of 63, so I need as many troops as I can get. So I'm going to take the 2 morale. It is going to lower my inflation down to 7%. I'm going to get 600,000 big ones in late February to spend on troops, so I need the conscript number. So that's why I'm going to go and drop money on conscripts. And then, as you saw here, perhaps, I am putting money into the rail system as well as the river system. The river I'm going to do next turn, actually. So rail system this turn, get that back up, and then the river the next turn. And that's about it for everything I'm doing. I do have some, where are you at? Some more of my brigs that are repaired, so I'm going to send them back into the blockade running. And then I also have fortifications here at Fairfax, because I just don't know where he's going to attack me at. And then I threw one over at Munfordville right here, and then I threw one somewhere else, but I think with Lee. So with that, let's simulate the turn and see what happens. I gotta tell you, I'm a little worried about Illinois over here. He's mounting a pretty significant force. I think he went and just recruited every Kansas and Iowan and every guy he could from the far west, and they are now available for him to attack because those troops came out of nowhere. Oh, and by the way, I do have it on the AI takes more time to figure out what it's doing, so that's why this is going to take a while. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then once it's done, we'll come back and I'll do a thorough review of things that may have happened. Okay, so not a whole lot happened that turn. Here we have Holmes, who again, he has that negative 25% cohesion recovery, as well as that -5 maximum cohesion associated with whoever fights under him, so that's pretty crappy. However, this is going to go up. So the 311's right now just reflective because I just made him a core. But he does have actually like a 4 strategic rating for a core commander, and then I think like a 2 defensive. So he's not all that bad, even though he does have this negative modifier here. So I put McCulloch under him. And then again, this is going to be a little bit better because right now I just created a division. I made him a division commander. Those ratings are actually better. I think it's like 422 or something like that, or 423. I wanted to move on Quincy this turn, but notice he's got, a division there worth of about 282 power, and then another division of 123 power. So not, altogether intimidating, but something that would give my core here a run for its money. So we're going to hold here just because the weather is a little bit rugged until we take Peoria. I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to bring him down, bring Polk down with the core, and then we'll combine those two, and we'll take out Quincy. It's a plan up here. So here I've got Claiborne, who I'm trying to get him some experience. That's why I have him up here. Eventually I'll swap him out with another division commander. I'll put him in Johnston's army to get Johnston's army better equipped. Same with Wharton. But right now, actually, you know what? Let's do this here. I am not a Van Dorn fan. The dude sucks, as you can see. He's got good strategic, but he's not impressive. All right. So we're going to take Peoria, hopefully. There's not a whole lot here. I am doing a mine, so hopefully I can breach any kind of defenses it might have here. It just has militia, so hopefully we'll take it quickly, and then we'll move down to Quincy. In other news, Vincennes. I've got Shelby besieging it. I am actually going to bring Forney forward to hopefully take it. He's going to take him 3 days to get there because I rebuilt the rail right here. And then I'm bringing this brigade of cavalry forward as well to merge with Shelby. So I'm hoping to take this. Notice it has a depot. So what I want to do is I want to use this as my staging ground to attack Columbus and Indianapolis. With the added bonus, it's going to cut off Evansville from supply. So hopefully that will decrease the incursions that I'm suffering in Kentucky at the moment. Plus I just took Rome with Shelby, or rather with Morgan. And so hopefully, and then I plunked my navy right here in between, so he can't actually get back across to take Rome. He's going to have to go around. So hopefully these two actions here will effectively cut Davis off and either make him think twice before he decides to move into Kentucky again, or I'll be able to starve him out and actually destroy him. We'll see. But first goal is take Vincennes, and then I'm going to push into Columbus and Indianapolis once the springtime hits. I am moving Forrest forward to here because if I take Vincennes, then I'll have Fornes and Forrest adjacent, so they'll be able to support each other. I don't like the fact that there's a river in between, but for the time being, that's a pretty advantageous position to be in because Forrest will be behind a river on 3 sides here, and I'll have Fornes here in support with a nice little river protecting him if anyone decides to use the railroad to cross. Same thing for Forrest. If the Union decides to attack using the rail line, they'll have to cross a river. So I'll have Forrest and Fornes right here. And I'm bringing AP Hill over to create a 3rd corps for my eventual attack on Indiana. Bloomington's going to be held with just a brigade of 6 elements, as you can see here. And then Tolono, same thing. I'm going to hold that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a division here in Springfield using McCulloch, who has a 5 strategic rating, so that's why I want to use him as a division commander. And I'm going to build up a division under Trimble, and he's going to be my division that supports Bloomington, Tolono, and then eventually this front along Quincy and St. Louis, depending where he's needed. The nice thing with that is it got the rail line that goes to Bloomington up to Peoria, rail line that goes to Quincy, and the rail line that goes to St. Louis. So that's a good position to be in for supporting purposes. I'm going to hold this core here for now because I'm not quite sure what Davis is going to do. I've definitely got him in a pinch, though, because he's got to either figure out how to get across the river or he's going to have to attack. I'm bringing my fleet out here because I have 4 elements. That'll keep him from being able to cross there, hopefully. And then here, this will be able to keep him from crossing here. So he's going to be forced to either go this way in between my core and my army so I can attack him, or he's going to be forced to go this way where, again, he's going to have to cross the river. And so by the time he gets across, he's going to have a pretty significant cohesion loss, and then perhaps I'll be in a position to attack him and inflict some pretty heavy casualties on him. So that's the west. Over here, I'm just broke up everything. I'm going to keep in Fort Monroe about half a division. I'm going to try and build this up a little bit more as time goes on, but that's what I've got there for now. Notice here, these are both, at least one of these is 20 pounders. That's a 12 and then a 20. And then on top of that, we've got these coastal artillery batteries, Fort Battery. And then he also has, whoops, didn't mean to do that, a 20 pounder and a 12 pounder. So I've got 2 12s, 2 20s right here on the coast here. And then he's got a 12 pound. I'm probably add another 12 pound to that, but I'm not going to load up too much. And then probably put a 12 pounder here. That way I've got a whole bunch of artillery right in this area, so it really is going to make it hard for him to move up the coast and do any kind of landing if he decides to do that. Otherwise, not a whole lot going on. We've got D.H. Hill's corps now under Lee, so he's got 3 corps. I am building a little bit more infantry. I ended up spending a lot more money than I anticipated on a few things. Namely, reinforcements in this area here. Then we went and dropped money on the Riverpool, and then the artillery cost us some money. So a couple of heavy artilleries, a couple of supply trains. Those are expensive, but I anticipate having some money to drop on the next go around. So we're going to drop a lot more infantry because we're getting kind of close to spring, and I don't have as many troops as I'd like. So I might be tempted to punch the print money if I don't have bonds available here soon. My inflation's down to 7, which isn't too bad for the Confederacy, at least from my perspective. I like to spend money, so as you can tell, I will, every opportunity I have when I think it's advantageous, punch that button. I am moving this brigade, which is now trained up of line infantry, over to St. Louis, or actually over to Jefferson City, because I see a push here. You know, Jefferson City really isn't that big of a thing for me. If I lose it, fine, whatever. I just like to have a buffer around St. Louis, so if I can hold Jefferson City, great. But really, you know, even if they took Jefferson City, they had to cross a couple rivers here. I could bring cavalry up from Springfield to make his life a living hell. And then ultimately when he tries to attack St. Louis, he's going to have this really narrow gap here. So I'm not too worried from an attack from the west, but, you know, we'll see. But I am bringing a little bit more infantry over here to support, you know, Tillafaro and Winder's units over here, because he does have a pretty sizable force over here. I did abandon Bloomington. As you can see, I put all the troops here, and we're going to try and take Quincy. I suspect he's actually going to bring his troops over here, his divisions, and try and unite with Quincy. So if I can take Quincy quick, that'll keep him from uniting his force. If he unites that force, it's going to create a bit of a situation for me where I'm going to have to figure out a position to take a defensive stand and go from there. But you know what? Him fighting for Illinois is a hell of a lot better than realistically in 63 real world. The Confederacy was like, or the Union was like down in here, you know, in this time frame. So us defending Illinois is a hell of a lot better than us having to defend Mississippi and the remainder of Tennessee. So we're in good shape. Looking at the overall scores and objectives, I really want DC. I might ultimately go for DC in 64 because the way to win the game, you know, one way is national morale, and the national morale is a lot easier to win against the U.S. in 64 than in 63 because it's a bit of a change because it's an election year. They've lost 102,000 troops. We've lost 65,000, so that's really good. And we've taken 42,000 prisoners of theirs. They have 3,400 victory points. We have 4,800. I don't know if it'll tell us how many they're getting a turn. Okay, they're getting 44 a turn, and we're getting 60. So another way to win the game is to have more victory points than your opponent in 66. I think it's kind of a cheap way to win, though, you know? Like, I don't know. Maybe for the Confederacy it makes sense because Confederacy just had to hold out until there was a peace. But from the Union perspective, I mean, really, all-out victory should be the only option available to the Union. But, all right, so with that, oh, and then I did drop some copperheads here, or actually, yeah, some copperheads to reinforce there. And this is really cool. I dropped some rebels into the Golden City because the, as you can see, the loyalty is higher for us than it is for the Union, and we now control this gold mine, so we're getting 10,000 per turn now from that until they take it. And because we took it in the wintertime, it's going to be a little bit harder for them to actually take it back because the weather is pretty rugged here, harsh weather, and it's mountains. So that was the only place I could do it. He's got some cavalry here, so I couldn't do it there. And then the other place down here, he's got someone garrisoned, so I figured I'd just do it here. But now we're getting another 10,000 on top of what we're getting. So that's awesome. That's great. Nothing going on in Pensacola, and then finally Texas. Not a whole lot going on. I am trying to take this fort here so I can burn it, Fort Craig. It's not fallen. I don't have any artillery here. So, and then I'm almost out of supply, as you can see here. So if I don't take it this next turn, I'm just going to have to pull out. So we'll see what happens there. Not the end of the world if we can't do it. That's fine. I just wanted to burn this, so it makes it even harder for him to move from Valencia down. But, yep. All right, so let's go with the next turn. And again, I'm going to just stop the recording because it takes a bit for the computer to simulate. So I'll be right back. All right, so let's conclude this video with the couple things that are going to happen in the next video. We're currently besieging Vincennes with one of my corps here under Forney. Bringing up reinforcements. This is under the Army of Tennessee, Johnston. Let me put the military control on here. I'm taking this for a couple of reasons. One, to force Davis back, which we accomplished. As you recall, he was moving into Kentucky. I am a little vulnerable down here. I don't have a whole lot. I could either take him on head on, which I was kind of doing as I split my corps over here under the Army of Mississippi by moving Johnson down. But I was more interested in thrusting into Indiana here, kind of force him back, which is what we did. Now, I did screw up a little bit. So I only put my ships, I think, here and here. I left a little bit of a gap for him to get across. I think I had ships here and here. And so, as you can see, he was able to get across, unfortunately. What I should have done was put ships in this region here and this region here, forcing him to either go up the middle here or stay down here. That sucks, but whatever. What are we going to do? I did take this area here. Was this Rome, I think? And we'll just call it Perry for now. With Morgan. And then hopefully I'll take Knox, Indiana. And then what this will do is it'll cut him off from a majority of his supply. And then I'm going to move stuff in here and just either force him out or put him into a situation where he has to fight his way out and inflict some casualties. So I'm feeling pretty good about this situation down here. And then once spring hits, I've got, you know, my army of the Tennessee is right here with these two rail lines. We're going to keep pushing, hopefully, to Columbus and Indianapolis, which are both strategic locations. So that's the situation down here in Kentucky. We've got most of Kentucky, which we've had for a while, and now we're pushing into Indiana. As you can see, I've got these two areas, which is kind of my far northern flank. Each got a brigade holding this area down. I will ultimately have McCulloch as my division responding to any kind of situation up here. He'll be working out of Springfield. Right now I'm bringing him over to support Polk's army, which is the Army of the West, in taking Quincy. So again, my ultimate goal here is to hold this river behind the river here. I did abandon Bloomington because I'm a little afraid of my supply line here, this getting cut by Buford. Or Buell rather. Now he does have a pretty substantial force over again, as you can see, 1392 power. With Sheridan leading one of the divisions. Obviously he's a good general. The other two guys are just 311s. So I'm going to have to watch that a little bit closely, but I think, by the time he makes his way all the way over here, I'll be well and entrenched behind this river, and then between St. Louis all the way up to Quincy, I should be able to muster a pretty substantial force. And then Jefferson City, again, is kind of it's nice to have, but I don't necessarily need it for my defensive strategy. So that's what's going on in the west. We did take the fort up here, burned it. So now we're going to pull back here. That gives us a nice little gap between any kind of Union forces up here in Arizona and Valencia, and our areas down here. So we should be secure there for at least a little while. And then I'm just moving forces. I moved forces out of Fort Monroe. I've got a 360 power force. I'm going to build that up a little bit more as we move on, with Beauregard kind of down here just to kind of protect this area, this peninsula, plus Richmond, and then just moving troops up to the line here. He did put 4,000 powered force here, which concerns me because right now D.H. Hill only has a 1484 force. And yeah, he's supported by these two corps here, but it's still really important to maintain at least half, 50% strength force versus what he's got over here, just to discourage him from any kind of river crossing attack. I still think what I'm going to do is I'm going to push, excuse me, with Stonewall's corps and kind of do a little flanking maneuver here in the spring. We'll see. I'm still kind of building up an army for that particular attack. And with that, that's pretty much all that's happened. We did get a little bit of a note here. A National Day of Prayer. Okay, fine, whatever. And then here were the battles. So didn't lose. He only had 420 guys there, so it's not a big deal. I just want to get rid of that fort. And then, so this this was painful. I lost this entire force. Pretty frustrating. I moved into Evansville thinking nobody would be there. Davis backtracked. He didn't lose anybody, which is insane to me, even though he had we were landing on a beach. So he got there before we did. That's what happened. So we just got completely butchered and massacred. So the force we had right here, gone. That sucked. I don't think we suffered a national morale penalty for that. We did get a national morale for taking Peoria, by the way. Which, next turn, we're going to be besieging Quincy, hopefully, because we've got my corps moving up under Holmes, and then my army under Polk coming down here. And then I'm also bringing Springfield over here. I like the what I call the Roman doctrine, which was, drop everything you can on any particular target and don't hold anything back. So I like to do that. Let's see. And then I hope I didn't suffer a national morale for that, but we did. We lost national morale, which I guess makes sense because we lost an entire brigade. But we gained national morale too, so it's zero sum on that part. All right, so with that, I'm going to leave all y'all. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the military control real quick. In the next video, probably see some battles going on in Illinois and continue with the build-up over in Virginia. So as you can see, here we go. Here's Virginia. Got most of Western Virginia is in the hands of the Union. And then you see we got Kentucky. Here's Tennessee along the line here. Most of Illinois is now ours, which is awesome. One subscriber mentioned perhaps moving on Chicago. That's always possible. Not going to rule it out. But I do like having this river right here. It's a nice little transit area. And then as you can see, about half of Missouri is ours. Well, about 2/3 of Missouri is ours. So we're doing pretty well so far. We'll see what 63 brings. Hopefully we can keep up the initiative, keep up the momentum, and go from there. So thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it.